Okay. I'm
I
going to
saw.
share it. It's live on your page, right?
Yes, and we're live now.
Oh, hello. Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
hello, hello, everyone. This is the energy that we are in. It's called being distracted. How many of you are distracted right now? Thanks to all this magnificent energy with Mars entering into Taurus. I say that itself is a little bit of a distraction right there, considering we were just in Mars with Aries where it likes to be, and it was fast, it was motion, it was moving, it's yay, yay, yay. And now we get to slow down a little bit. Anyway, our topic is not about Mars and Taurus, at least not directly. So if you are watching, what I'm going to ask that you do is share it out. If you saw my page earlier, you can click on StreamYard, give them permission to share your name so we can see your comments. I've been trying to do this for a few minutes. I'm hoping that it works now.
Are
And if
you
not,
live on your personal page?
I'm on my personal page. I'm always on my personal page when I go live.
Right. I don't see us. That's why I'm asking. Hello, everyone, if you are watching us, because what I'm hoping is if I'm on her personal page, then I go and I share it onto IOTS. But if it's not there, I can't do it.
And that's so funny. Oh, boys, boys.
It's Saturn, getting ready to go retrograde at the end of the month.
Let me see if I'm streaming elsewhere, because apparently, for whatever the reasons are, it's not streaming on Facebook. And I know I hit all three, so it should be on Facebook. I'm just not sure why it's not there on Facebook just yet, and it's okay. We are on X, so we are there live. Even though I always stream there live, I know not too many people do really watch it there live, but it's there. Let's see if we're on YouTube. I guess we always have to remind ourselves of these lovely little tricks that take place when these planets are in a funky place. We are live on YouTube. Tricks that take place. So we are there on YouTube. So if you are watching from YouTube, do me a favor and go over to that little thumbs up, hit that, and then share it out on the YouTube channel. And kid, if you don't know my YouTube channel, it's Holistic Fitness NY. You can click on that and share it out there too. And let's see if we are on Facebook yet. We should be on Facebook. Why is it not showing up? This is so
Holistic Fitness
NY. NY. I'm just going to go to StreamYard to make sure that I actually hit the Facebook page, because that would be funny if I didn't, although I can't imagine that I didn't.
Well, I see us on YouTube, so I can't share us to Facebook, but then I can share the link when we're done. So
yeah, well, it is. I did click on the Facebook page, so I don't know why it's not streaming live there. So, anyways.
Yeah, because it's usually your personal page that it lets it stream live too.
Yeah.
Unless they've got some new thing going on.
I don't know. It's definitely not on my page, which is really weird. Anyways, all right. Anyway, it's on my YouTube channel. We just won't be seeing comments for anybody who does pop in. Say hi, let us know you're there. We'll always come back later and respond to any comments that need to be responded to. Otherwise, if you want to go and watch this live, if you're not seeing it on Facebook, which is really funny. How can you see it on Facebook if we're not seeing it on Facebook, right? Or wrong?
Well, I don't know where I would not know where it would be. It would be playing too. So yeah, I am on YouTube. I see it on YouTube. So
well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can share it to my Facebook page from YouTube. See if I could do that. Is that a possibility?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Copy link.
Let me try that and see if I can. We're playing, boys and girls.
Yeah, we're not really here to entertain you guys today. We are trying to figure this stuff out.
I'm going to Intuition of the Soul, and I'm going to share the link.
All right, so I just shared the link on my Facebook page, so anybody who wants to come and watch there will have the opportunity to do so. Not really sure
it's just the link. It's not going to play through, but at least I've got the link.
just a link, and they can just go and watch it if they want to. Not sure why it's not playing on the actual link itself. Has Facebook changed something?
Well, they did change about sharing. And then what I've been able to do is go live on my personal page and then share it to my groups. So, but
yeah, but I thought that was a reference to, I thought that was a reference to private groups, not Facebook groups.
No, private Facebook groups. Yes, all Facebook groups. It will not share to groups. It will share to your personal page, though.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm looking to share this on, is the personal page, which is why I don't know.
It's being stubborn.
It's being very stubborn.
So I just pulled 2 cards just to see.
All right, so how about we just have our conversation, and then we'll just end up sharing this out.
So here comes reflect, refresh, reset, which is what you just did. And then don't worry, your time will come.
Do you want, Kitty, do you want to come off of this and then come back on and see if that does something?
You mean me re-enter into this Facebook?
Where we come, like your card just says, refresh, reset. Or you just want to go for this and just do it?
Let's just go at this point.
Let's just go for it. All right. Our topic for today, for those who will be watching, those of you who are watching on the X page and YouTube, welcome. And those who will be watching this on Facebook on the replay, we apologize for the technical difficulties, totally out of our control, obviously. Today's topic is about the Saturn retrograde and Capricorn energy, as there is a lot of energy. Yes, there is. So, Kitty, introduce yourself.
I am Kitty Bidoué Foss, storytelling astrologer, reader of the stars, co-founder of Intuition of the Soul, and today, a Saturn preparing for retrograde energy. And it's very interesting as this, for me, Saturn retrogrades, because Saturn is in my first house natally. And I have found out recently, doing some other research about kind of my history with some of the planets, that I have been with a progressed sun for almost 60 years by the time I leave it, in the first house. So this is where Saturn lives for me, in the sign of Capricorn. And so this is a very interesting year, because I am very much Scorpio, and Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, is in Aquarius, but is dipping yet again back to Capricorn. So we've got this focused flow that now will turn inward in this Saturn retrograde at the end of this month. It's 29th, right?
Yes.
We'll then have Pluto retrograde. We will have Mercury will be going back in, and we're coming into that retrograde season. And retrograde is just about an inward shift from the external influence. And of course, Saturn in Pisces is a bit of a conundrum anyway, because Saturn is all about the structures, what makes important, how we put things together, how we learn from boundaries, our limitlessness, but how we approach things. And in Pisces, it's about focusing that flow and what's dreams, what's illusions, and it has us really looking at what structures do we participate in.
Yes. And by July 2nd, even though we're not talking about this part of it, by July 2nd, we will actually have 3 planets in retrograde, because Neptune goes retrograde on July 2nd.
Yeah, Neptune goes right behind it. So the bigger outer planets are starting to show up. This is a bridge planet, Saturn. Yes. And so it is very much in that regards, when it's retrograde, very much about an internal bridge with what's going on outside us and what's going on inside us. And then, of course, as Neptune enters, that spirit, spirit that is the ruler, Neptune, of Pisces. And so you have that extra Pisces influence when Neptune goes. Neptune happens to be in Pisces at the moment, has been for a while. And so we got a lot of what is the flow? What is the structure of our flow? Meanwhile, we've got Pluto inside right now, retrograde, really working at changing that inner vision, changing that, pulling that rebellious side to be who we're meant to be in this collective energy. So it's a it's a time.
Yes, yes. And many, I've had an opportunity to speak to a handful of people today, sharing their feelings, their feels, in regards to different lessons that are going on in their lives today, where I pointed out to them that, yes, a lot of these lessons are a taste of Saturn's energy in regards to what boundaries do we need to set, where do we need to have a reset, and where are we willing to step into our voice and really say what we really want to say if something's not feeling right about a situation or a lesson at that time, as opposed to moving into our shell again and just saying, well, you know what, then I just won't do it, or and going
Well,
this go down the stubborn road of like, well then, okay, well then I just won't do it. I'll just allow them to do it and I won't do it. And as I pointed out, this is the universe of Saturn's testing us in regards to, are you ready to set up a boundary? Are you ready to do a reset? Are you ready to do a karmic completion? Because a lot of what we are going to be experiencing moving into this retrograde are lessons that bring us back into, let's say, our childhood. So triggers from our childhood may definitely show up. These are just lessons that it's like, well, why does this have to keep showing up? It will keep showing up until you are ready to change whatever it is that's going on, that trigger point. And yes, triggers are sometimes challenging. They make us upset. They make us cry. But there's a reason why it's showing up. It's your time. Our time. Every one of us has this opportunity now to say, what am I willing to change with this? So this way here, this doesn't continue doing it the same way.
well, and that's why I prefer the word for me is activation than trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because it activates something for me to take some kind of action, whether it's even being quiet to figure out what the action is, to pay attention to it. That's why things activate us, is to pay attention to them. And when you talk about this focused flow, what are dreams in our structures that are really realities to us, that and we have all this Gemini energy, how are we going to experience it, create the focus of our flow, create what is we're being told? And with a retrograde, this is the inside out. This is a real inside time that we come into. It's not about what comes to us. It's about, again, how are we reacting to it? How are we focusing this flow? Saturn teaches us what's important. And it's asking us in that activation to pay attention to, like you said, do I need to say something? Do I need to change my behavior? I was just telling you a story. Or do I need not to be a part of it? Because I realize in the triggering, it takes a lot of energy for me to, in this activation, to deal with it and be able to stay in my best space for me. And so that voice is to say, you know what, I'm just not going to, it's not important enough for me to participate in that. It's not important enough for me to be a part of that. It's not about me, it's about somebody else. And then, and, and then even saying to somebody, because often we think something's important to people. In the case I'm talking about, I said to, it happened to be my husband, I said, if you want me to do this, I'm happy to do it for you. But if it's really not important that I'm a part of this, I don't need to do it for me. And he kind of looked at me, he goes, yeah, you don't really need to be part, it's all right. And I said, I really want you to hear, but there would have been years that I would have been like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do because I'm married and all of this stuff. And no, it isn't always that way. So you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yes, I muted myself so you didn't have to hear me sneezing and coughing all at the same time. I was having a whole fit back here. I'm sure you all saw me with my head like this and like this. And that was just because there was a sneeze, a cough, a sneeze, a cough. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. I'm glad this is not on where everyone can hear it. So yeah, no, I myself like the word trigger. For me, the word trigger does not trigger me. I like that word, and it's just a big reminder that when I do get triggered, it's where do I need to take a moment to slow down and then think about what that trigger is, how far back does that trigger go, and am I willing right now to work on healing that trigger? And that's the beauty of being a spiritual being and having human experiences, is that you get to decide in this very moment whether or not you want to work on healing the trigger. And if you want to work on healing the trigger, the way I do it is I take pen to paper, I write down the trigger, and I ask myself, how can I do this differently? How can I react differently? What will my actions be? And how soon did I recognize I was triggered? Because that's a big part of the healing process, is because when we can recognize, like, oh my God, I'm being triggered at this very moment, that itself is a healing process because you recognize it. Whereas if you think back to the past, you might have not even realized that you were being triggered, and you don't understand why you're so upset and what the cause of effects of things are. So pay attention to that too. And how long did it take you to recognize that you were being triggered? And then give yourself that permission to sit in the feels, because by sitting in the feels, and that might be crying, that might be yelling, and when I say yelling, not yelling at the other person, go quietly and yell and let it all out. This way here, you're not holding it in, because a big part of our healing process is that we can release it as opposed to pushing it back down. And with the Saturn retrograde, and it's so funny because today I was actually working on an article about this very topic, and a big part of the retrograde is about our childhood traumas may very well surface during this retrograde period, giving us this opportunity to yet again have something to heal. And at the end of the cycle, how we show up differently through the end of the cycle.
Well, they show because it's our structure. There were reasons we picked the family of origin we picked. There were lessons we set up to learn, and there are activations or triggers that we develop to also learn from them. And Saturn is our best teacher.
Yes.
Saturn is what shows us what's important, where the structures are, and where we may have made a structure that just isn't really there.
Exactly.
Like you said, you can sit with it, you can decide, this activates me on a regular basis. This triggers me on a regular basis. What is the belief underneath this that I think is causing my reaction? Because there are other things. We've all sat with friends who get all activated, triggered about something, and you're sitting there going, doesn't even land on my radar. Doesn't bother me in the least. And vice versa, where you've sat with people and they're like, yeah, that wouldn't bug me. There's a reason why it bugs you and doesn't bug them, or vice versa. And it's like, oh, there's activation, a trigger. I'm not a fan of guns at all. So I don't like any word that I associate with guns. And it's not about the language, it's the idea. Sometimes people say, oh, that's going to trigger me. Well, if you know it's going to trigger you, what are you going to do about it? You're going to avoid it? It's kind of like animals. They migrate, they adapt, or migrate, adapt, or hibernate. What are you going to do with the trigger? Are you going to go away from it? Are you going to adapt and figure out what you want to do? Or are you just going to take it off your radar?
And when we think of those three, again, coming back to the healing process of it all, whatever we decide to do, the idea of it is until we can get to that place where we can sit with that activation, that trigger, is when we actually can heal from it. If we decide that, okay, you know what, I'm just going to push it away and pretend it doesn't exist, or I'm going to do what the other person wants me to do just to avoid conflicts, then that particular lesson needs to show up again at some other point because there's something that needs to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity. One of my newest favorite words. There's an opportunity to set a boundary. There's an opportunity to stand up for yourself and say, you know what? This doesn't feel good for me. This doesn't work for me. Now,
there's an opportunity to
it might have
heal.
worked for me months back or years back, but it doesn't work for me anymore now. So because it doesn't work for me now I'm going to stand up for myself and say what it is I want to say in the most kindest way I can say it without causing more harm to the situation. Now, again, I'm not responsible for the words that come out of my mouth that may end up triggering the other person. That's not my job. So if I've said something in the comments of speaking up for myself and now that triggered that other person, well, that just means that other person has work to do as well. Because, again, we're not here to tiptoe around people's situations because we're afraid of triggering them or activating them. Do not be afraid to activate someone. This is an opportunity to help them heal from whatever it is they are being activated by.
Right. There's a fine line in there too for me. If I am using the words that are about me and my feelings and my understanding, and that activates or triggers somebody else, that's on them. Now,
Yes.
if I use words that accuse them or tell them why they're doing it or all of those things, that isn't me sharing what's activating me. That's me making judgments and going outside myself. And I truly believe I never know why somebody else does anything.
Exactly.
I've really come to that understanding. So it's not mine to say, well, when you did that, that made me angry because you were doing it because you were mad at me. My job is to say, wow, when you said that, my feeling was you were insulting me. And one of the things I can learn when I say that is they might say, oh, that's not how I meant it. Then I can go back and say, is that how I'm hearing it? Is there a belief in me that when someone draws a boundary for me, maybe, or makes an observation that it's an insult? So, I mean, that's what that exchange is. That's the difference. You are not responsible for what you say to them as long as you've used with discernment. Oh, it's about you. Wow.
Exactly.
That's a problem for me. I feel like you're limiting my choices when you say that kind of thing to me. And I don't want my choices to be limited. And that's how I'm hearing that. Now they may come back, oh, that's not how I meant it, or say, no, but if I say you're always trying to control me, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not me putting a boundary up. That's me
placing blame, and limiting it to that, if into the point of we're thinking what we're assuming we know what they're saying,
right?
And the idea is, well, if what I heard is not really what you meant for me to hear it as, can you please re-say it so I can hear it differently?
Right. And, Saturn is our planet of boundaries and limitations and control. And so sometimes when we assert our Saturn, there is a piece that is looking for some kind of control because perhaps our emotions are feeling out of control. So I love that you talk about if you don't know what to say, that means you don't know what to say. It's okay. Take the time to figure it out. And that might be when you walk away and say, I'll have to deal with this later. But deal with it, not, oh, I'm just going to shove it and it won't happen again. And, again,
sometimes the best thing we can do when there's a heated conversation taking place is allow the other person to say what they need to say, hear what they have to say, and then say to them at that point in time, I've heard everything you've said. Now what I need to do is go and digest what you just said, and then I'd like to come back maybe later or tomorrow revisit this whole conversation, and then share with you how I feel about what you said. This right here, both parties have an opportunity to step away from the situation, and the person who said what they've said has an opportunity to think about what they've said, and maybe they may come back later and retract a lot of what they've said, and then you yourself have the opportunity to digest it. Like, okay, this is what was said. How am I feeling about it? Is what they said triggering something or activating something for me that's not related to what they just said? It's activating
Right.
something else.
Right.
And that's what we
Again,
have to really understand is the situation that's actually occurring right now and then, in this very moment, we may be activated, not based on the conversations that's actually taking place. It's something that's activated from something else
it's
that
touching a
more
belief. Yes. It's touching a belief
yes.
that causes me some kind of reaction, activation, trigger. And when I can get to that belief,
Yep.
I can figure out what my action is, what structure I want to be. Is this about them? Is it about me? Do I need to get clarification? Do I really I'm feeling like I'm not important. Is that what they said to me, or is that what I'm reacting to? Is that what that trigger or activation has tapped into, you know? And again, with Saturn retrograde, it is looking at our structures. Part of what we do during Saturn retrograde is, are we participating in things that lift us up, make us feel better, you know? And when people challenge those things, do we think, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing it? Or are we strong enough? No, this is something I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yes. And then, when we talk about the Capricorn energy, the Capricorn is this is the work that we're here to do. And those of you who follow me regularly, I always use the term our soul's work, our soul's purpose when it comes to Capricorn energy. Now, our soul's work is not just about our income. It's not just about, sitting there and servicing somebody. The soul's work is the work, the lessons that we're here to learn about, which is exactly the experiences that we're having through Saturn's retrograde. These are the lessons, the experiences. How do we react to it? How do we respond to it? This is our work. This is the Capricorn energy of the work we're here to do. And each person that comes in and may say something to either activate, trigger, whatever word we want to use, it's them giving us an opportunity. They're helping us. They're actually helping us with something that we need to learn something about, to heal something from maybe our past, maybe our very present. And that's that Capricorn energy that we have going on, helping us so we can transform and have what's called this karmic completion of some sort. Where is that karmic energy at? And how are we coming to a completion with it? And the more we heal different layers, and there's always going to be another layer, people. Don't think because you've healed whatever it was you healed that's over. I remember saying to one of my mentors a few years back about a situation I was in. I said, so once the situation's finished, that means I'm done? I don't have any more healing work to do? And she just looked at me and she said, darling, are you kidding? There's going to be another layer. I'm like, another layer? Another layer of this? She goes, yes, there's going to be another layer that's going to show up. And once you work through that and transform through that, there'll be another layer and another layer. I'm like, how many darn layers are there? She goes, it's like peeling a damn onion. There's a nah. I'm like, oh my God. So basically, this is just a constant transformational process that we go through to get to where we are all looking to go to. Become light enough that we can cross over.
well,
Because we have to be light enough to.
we're the ever unfolding rose. So that's a different way to look at the layers. As we get more air and light, another piece starts to unwind as we go deeper and deeper to what is the center of who we are. And with Saturn in Pisces, though, it's a focused flow. So this is a great time to deal with things I've wanted to try that I thought might bring me some other clarity. They may not, but this is kind of a great time to tap into that. What helps me flow? Maybe it's not having a really strict schedule every day, putting things in. Maybe it is to make my schedule a little more tight. Maybe it's to make sure I've planned to get breaks or be out or be with people. Maybe it's to cut down how many people I'm with. This is a time to focus that flow in the structure and internally really play with, how does that feel? Go through those feels. Remember, thoughts or feelings are not facts. They're just what they are. And they're here to be a guidance. And recently I've heard that the heart is the brain of the soul. That's why we go to our heart. Not in I get overwhelmed, but what is my heart really asking me to go, excuse me, in this flow, in this structure that is Saturn? Where do I want to put my focus to see if that opens new channels for me to things that are important to me? Again, Saturn is all about what's important in my structure, what's going on.
Yes, and when we think about the actual day that Saturn does go retrograde, based on numerology, on the 29th, that itself says a lot. The 29th, for those of you who do not follow numerology, or just starting to learn about numerology, every number has a specific vibration. Every number has a meaning, and all numbers gets returned down to a single digit from 1 to 9, except for 3 numbers, and those are your master numbers, 11, 22, and 33. So when we think about the 29th, theoretically, you add that number up, 9 and 2 is 11. So that's qualifiable as a master number. And the 11 is the master healer. And we all are master healers. Every one of us are the master of our own healing. It is not Kitty's responsibility to take care of my healing. It is not my responsibility to take care of Kitty's healing. Now, me as a healer, it is not even my responsibility to take care of my client's healing. What I do as a healer is I hold space for my clients, and I activate the energy within them so they can then see their potential that they have, so they can work through their healing journey as a master as well. Because we all have the ability to heal. It's a matter of taking that time out to give yourself the practice of healing, and whatever amount of time that might be for you. You may want to practice daily 5 minutes a day. You may want to practice daily an hour a day, and you may want to practice every other day, depending on you. But that 29 is a reminder that this energy we're moving into this retrograde is an opportunity for you to go within and be open to the different experiences that's going to show up through this retrograde. The experiences, the people that show up, that may very well bring an experience or a lesson into the table that you may not feel so comfortable in. And when you're not feeling comfortable in something, or you feel like people are telling you what to do, or you feel like you're a child again, that's an opportunity to say, you know what? Here's a healing experience. Here's a healing moment for me where I can stand up for myself. Assuming if you're ready to do just that. So the overall energy for the 29th of June, and I'm adding it up, you would think by now I would have had that number together. The overall energy is a 7. So we talk about that 7 in numerology. 7 is about balance. Bringing the balance back into your mind, back into your body, back into your spirit, back into your emotions. Bringing the balance. What does balance look like for you? Do you need, just like Kitty said, do you need to spend more time with people? Or do you need to spend less time with people? Do you need to have more things on your schedule? Or do you need to have less things on your schedule? What do you need to bring that balance to? What needs more of your attention at this time? In addition to that 7, it's also about the meditation practice. And for those of you out there who sit back and say, well, I can't meditate, it's just too challenging. There's so many different ways to meditate. You do not have to sit in a lotus position quietly with your hands in position, with your eyes closed, humming. You can literally go outside into nature and go take a walk and just allow yourself to be within yourself and give yourself that permission just to connect with nature. And there's your meditation right there. See what you can learn just from being with yourself. Take that opportunity to just do that. So with this day bringing us into this retrograde season, into that retrograde with Saturn, that is your time to meditate. That is your time to go within. That is your time to bring more balance into your life. That is the time to evaluate your contracts with people, places, and things. It's always going to come back to that reset, to reset your schedule. And most importantly, that boundary part, make sure you put yourself on your schedule.
Yes.
Make sure you're on your schedule, because if everything is on your schedule except for you, you're not taking care of you. So that's a big part of the seven energies. Make sure you are on your schedule and not, I'm going to take care of me at 10 o'clock at night. Try to take care of you throughout the day.
If,
Take
if,
little moments throughout the day to take care of you.
if you've ever seen, I first saw it taking a Stephen Covey class. You ever seen the jar with the rocks? That example, Joanne?
Yes.
You've got to put the big rocks in first, the things that are about you, that are important, that you value. Again, Saturn is this structure. It wants you to find the flow. And then you can put the smaller things around them. And who are you answering? That is one of the things that for me became a huge growth was, is this about me? Is this about me thinking, you know, that helping can be the happier way to control things? Oh, I'll help them and then I'll have versus, this isn't, what is it I want to do? The situation I was just talking about. I knew what I didn't want to do and I preferred, and that's what happened today is I spent time in the garden. I actually, a friend stopped over. It was much more about what I wanted to do rather than managing to keep myself from being activated. When you know that there are certain situations that take extra energy to stay in this neutral, to stay who you are, limit yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. To limiting, a family event, being there all day is too draining. Let them know I'm going to just come for a couple hours, enjoy the hours you're there, and then on you go. you
Yes.
know
Yes. It's one of my favorite things I say when it comes to the process of setting the boundaries and the reset. Evaluating your habits, your beliefs, your programming, philosophies, and everything we've been conditioned to believe, and sit and ask yourself some of the traditions that you usually do. The, oh, I have to do this because it's tradition, I'm expected of, etc., etc. This is your time now to sit back and say, you know what? I followed this rule for as long as I wanted to. Now I'm choosing to break the rule and say, this doesn't feel good for me anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And pick a new belief. Choose a new belief. And it's okay if you choose a new belief. Yes, you may ruffle a few feathers, but they'll get over it. Over time, they'll get over it. They'll accept the fact that, okay, well, like Katie said, if there's an occasion and you don't really want to be at that occasion the whole darn day, go for the hour. And you may turn around and realize that once you're there, like, you know what, I'm having a really good time. I don't want to leave yet. So I'm going to stay a little longer. And you may find that you stay the entire time. But knowing that you have the choice that, you know what, I'm not really feeling so great and, too many people around me, I'm leaving now. And you get that choice to do so. So you get to decide on your habits, your beliefs, your traditions, your supposed tos, and you get to decide with this retrograde on what's going to change for you. And it can constantly change. It doesn't mean that once you make your decision that this is going to be the thing, that it stays that way. You may decide that you're going to go back to the old thing. Who knows? But
Yep.
that's the beauty of this retrograde, is being in the flow and just allowing yourself to step into what makes you feel good.
And if you work with people who we do, who may call you a name or tell you you're being something, you don't have to accept that. That's on them. Well, that might be how you see it. This is how I see it. And it only really matters how you see it.
Exactly.
Again,
I
as
have,
long as I don't go after them, I don't
yes,
try to put it on them. I don't say, well, if you did this, I would do this. No, I just own what my piece of it is. And you will, a lot of times people don't know what to do when you do that. Number one, when you say, this is just making me really uncomfortable. That's on me. I just don't want to do this. You know, oh, you're being a chicken. Oh, you're being, you know, woo woo. All of that may be true in your mind. I just don't want to do it. You know,
Exactly. I
it
have to
takes
share with you, Kitty, the last card in the deck. So perfect.
Oh, I like that.
So perfect. It's so that I didn't shuffle the deck. I played with them earlier, but that's the last card that's that's on the bottom. So perfect, which is about the Saturn energy of the karmic completion.
Yes.
We're all experiencing some sort of ending to something, a karmic cycle. A new beginning will occur when Saturn goes direct. And then, of course, once Saturn moves out of Pisces altogether, we'll have a whole different flow to Saturn's energy as it moves into Aries in 2025. And
Oh,
until
yes.
that happens, we definitely have
With
a
Uranus also headed to Gemini. So
yes, yes, yeah, and for that matter, Neptune, Uranus, I call it Uranus, and Saturn, all will be getting ready to transit out of where they are and moving into a different sign. So lots of transitions coming through in 2025.
What's really 25, 26, we've gone from a lot of very receptive energies, earth and emotions, where we receive and we process. We're going to a lot of thinking and fire, sparking forward placements. So very much about the expression. So this time, especially this particular retrograde, is kind of one of those bridge times where we're getting very comfortable with the structure of our own emotions to get ready to step and act in those new ways. So very much.
Yes. So Kitty and I are now going to pull some cards to give you some insight to how to play along with this energy and take what resonates with you and leave what does not onto the table. You can always come back and pick it up if you want, if it resonates later. So let's see what cards we got coming out.
Oh, I like this one. This is from the Wonders of Nature deck. And it says, help yourself before helping others. That's very important. What is your intention when you help? Is it to share energy and be a part, or is it a way to step into a control? Well, if I help you, then I'll know what's going on and you'll do what I need you to do. Very much help yourself before helping others. Ground yourself. Again, what is my intention? What is that this I'm offering to help with? And then it comes right with it, connecting to your own emotions about that. Again, they go hand in hand. What is the intent? What emotions are behind it? You know, am I cleaning up because nobody else helps clean up? You know, when I really want to say I have a lot of brothers and sisters, we can all help. You know, let me say that. Now, if they don't come, that's another thing. But I put the intention out. I'm not doing it as a martyr. You know, I'll help. Would you mind helping? Literally asking. We sometimes don't think we should ask other people.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of, again, the boundaries is being able to express and show up. I love those two cards, and one of the main reason why I like both of those cards is the footsteps in the sand. And when we talk about Pisces energies, Pisces is associated with feet, and Pisces is water. So I love both cards that showed up. And the card that's bumping in here for us right now is financial abundance. Financial abundance. So yes, and the card's in an upright position, so there's no resistance here with this. And this could be something that during the Saturn retrograde that may very well slow its I'm going to say it this way because this is the way I'm hearing to say it. Financial abundance may slow its roll, meaning that during this retrograde cycle, looking for that raise, looking for that promotion, this may not be the time to really look for that. You can set the intentions, you can focus on what that will look like for you when you do ask for it, bring it to the table. Not during this retrograde though. So the financial abundance will come. Think of it coming after the retrograde's over. And again, third eye is just about setting the intentions to The why. Why is financial abundance important to you? What are you going to do with it once you have that increase? And just being in that energy of it, and just know that you could present it once this retrograde's completely over. The 8 energy is allowing yourself to let go of, again, your old patterns to what you think about money. If you do have a money trigger, this could be a perfect time to work on being more open to how money is and what money does, and just recognize that money is just another form of energy. We as humans, we give it so much power, and there's no need to. And just know that as you have money, the idea of money is to allow the money to flow. So to spend it, to invest it, to do something with it that's going to enhance you, and just allow that energy. So letting go of your ideas about money, and for that matter, the ideas that you might have witnessed when you were a child from, let's say, your parents or an older figure. It's their story. You don't have to carry their story for you. So bring in some new ways of connecting and attracting, and a new relationship with money is what I just heard.
Well, it's funny because what came out with this other one goes right along with this. Let the old go and the new in, but you decide the speed. You decide the speed. If I'm going to put it out to the universe, I'm going to decide. I'm going to wait for the timing that is the timing. You decide the speed of what priorities am I setting in my structures? What priorities am I looking for flow?
Oh, I like this card that's coming in. Listen and truths. Listen and truths. Listen for the truths. That's your solar plex energy, trusting this process that we're in right now. Trusting that whatever lessons, whatever experiences that are coming in for you right now, they're coming in for a reason. Be open to listening to whatever the lesson is, and then being truthful to yourself in reference to, just like Kitty says, am I willing right now to do this work? Or do I need to wait a little while? It's on you. You are the creator to your journey. That 3 energy is about your experience that you are getting from the outcome right now, right here. Get in the habit of recognizing and understanding your experience of what is going on right now, right here. The people you connect with, how you experience the connection with that person or peoples. Love that.
Very cool. All right, let's see for my last card. Let's see what would be a tool, I'm going to ask, that people could really use to tap into the beauty that is this particular Saturn retrograde on how do I focus my flow? How do I focus in the structure? Ride the wave. Beautiful card, isn't it?
Yes.
Ride the wave. With it. Beyond the parameters, just ride it. Let it flow. This is that focused flow. It will take you. Set your intention and let the structure help you, not fight against it. It will ride the wave. So,
pardon me, I have a little page that popped up and threw me off course. So give me a minute. Maybe I can figure out how to get out of the little page.
Oh,
there we go.
Everything happens for a reason as you're doing that.
Oh, come on. Why? There we go. I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back. That's what happens when I touch
card. Look at that. Everything happens for a reason. Yep. Ride the wave. Everything happens for a reason.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to pull another card. I would love to know where the 2 other people... Are you still on your YouTube channel?
I am on the YouTube channel.
Yes, so am I. Would love to know where the other 2 people are listening from. because there's 4 people watching, 2 other people, including you and I. There's 4. I don't know where the other. There. I went to see if there was any comments on YouTube, but there aren't. And we're still not live on Facebook. So I don't really know where the other 2 people are. It's a mystery. All right. Of course, this card has to come up. Why would it not? We've been talking about structure and our foundation and Saturn. So we have health. 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 One of my favorite words, health. And the reason why it's a favorite word for tonight is through this experience of our Saturn retrograde, and of course Pluto's retrograde, and before we know it, Neptune's retrograde, we may experience what's called physical ascensions, a spiritual calibration, and it may look like there's some health issues showing up. And those health issues are just showing up again, just to bring awareness to what our body is trying to tell us, because your body is your teacher. So if there's something out of alignment emotionally, know that that very well may show up in your body physically. The chakra is the sacral energy. The sacral energy very much associated with our inner child. So if for whatever the reasons are, you do have something that is going on that may be activating you, causing you to get a little triggered. Maybe as a child, one of the things that kept you in your safe place was not feeling well. Gives you permission not to do something. I had a mentor a few years ago. Her expression when she taught class was, "What's the payoff?" And what she means by that is sometimes unconsciously, as children, we may realize that, oh, if we get sick, that lets us not have to do something. So unconsciously, we hold on to that energy. And when we become adults, rather than just saying we don't want to do something and allowing ourselves to speak our truth, unconsciously, something shows up physically in our bodies, causing us to get quote unquote sick. Whether it may be asthma, bronchitis, headaches, diarrhea, whatever it may be, unconsciously that shows up in our body, giving us permission not to do something. So now we have a reason why we can't do that. Because, oh, I'm not feeling well today, so I'm going to have to skip that. Or you're at an event and suddenly you become uncomfortable, so you're not feeling well, gives you that excuse to say, I'm not feeling so well, so I'm going to leave a little early. As opposed to just, without having an excuse, just say, I'm ready to go, or I'm not going to this one this time. So the question to sit there and ask yourself is, do you have a childhood trauma that you can remember that might have allowed you not to have to do something, or for that matter to do something, where, let's say, if you do get a cold, it then gives you permission to ask for something, whereas if you didn't have a cold, you'd have to do it yourself. So it gives you permission to ask for help. So just think about some of the things that you've experienced and see if there's a payoff to why you might still be holding on to it. And this could be a very great lesson for you to, 33 is the master number, where you're sacrificing something. Maybe this is a time to ask yourself, well, maybe I can let go of that payoff and just be more willing to say, you know what, I need help here. Or I don't want to go. Simple and easy. And see how that frees you, because we're all talking about how we want our freedom. See how it frees you to move more into your confidence, your empowerment, your strength, your power is the word I just heard. So I love that message.
I do too. I love it very much. And I love that it's the sacral chakra. Beyond survival, what helps us thrive and move ahead. So it's I'm sure we'll be back a few other times. It's this month in particular. We're coming to this mid-month period where we're going to have kind of 2 distinct energies coming. There's a square with Mars and Pluto, and that's always about how do I get my will and the vision and kind of a frustration. But meanwhile, there's also this very miracle energy that's around right now with all this Gemini energy that's stepping forward. And Mercury and Taurus, and so there's or Mars and Taurus. There's just a lot of that. So it seems like a dichotomy, but they're actually working together. It helps me look at this experience of feeling like I got to go forward, but what miracles, what other things in my life are working well, so that's where I put my energy, like be able to see that dichotomy. It's a really interesting time.
Yes. And it's also the last week where we'll have 4 planets sitting in Gemini energy.
Yes.
As of the 17th, we have Mercury and Venus transiting out of Gemini, moving into Cancer. And then, what is it, the 19th or 20th, where the Sun enters Cancer as well?
I think it's the 19th this month, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't have my calendar in front of me. And, that's always an interesting time because it's the sun of the moon. It's the sun of our intuition. And the sun is about moving forward, and this is the planet of our intuition. So we're spending this time experiencing, getting all this stuff retrograde. We're going to have Neptune join it during the Cancer time. How do I nurture all of these things that are coming through me that move us forward?
Yes, a lot of water energy too. When we think about it, the Saturn, Neptune, both in Pisces, and then we're going to have Venus, Mercury, and the Sun in Cancer. That's a whole lot of water going on.
Well, and Cancer is always a very deep dive.
Yes.
Pisces is the flow, and yet we still have all this other Gemini. We have, our big Jupiter that's asking us to experience it. It's kind of helping us learn to sit with the feels.
Yes.
We don't always have to answer them or assign them a pattern. And that is, I'm reading a great book at the moment. One of the things they talk about, instead of the 7 deadly sins kind of thing, is they talk about the 7 powers or the 7 habits of the ego that we learn to get over, that we learn to work around or use as a tool that signal to us. And I love that perception better, the 7 powers of the ego that the soul is trying to work with to help us learn from. Those habits that it uses to try to protect itself, assign a pattern, and that's why the heart is the brain of the soul. What else is happening that's deeper than that? It's kind of the gateway keeper. So
yes. So you guys out there, enjoy this time that we're in. And yes, Kitty and I will be back to share some more insight as we move through some of the other transits that's taken place. And again, allow yourself to feel your feels. And it's okay to cry. So if you feel like you're going to cry and you try to suck those tears back in, don't do that. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, even though you may not know why you're crying. It's okay. You don't have to know why you're crying. Crying isn't the time of feeling.
It's actually better that you don't try to give it a pattern. Don't assign it a pattern, because usually that has a perception of something outside of us, and it's something that's coming through us. So,
and this is an inside job, guys. This is not about going out and trying to explore. This is inside. This is a matter of going within, allowing yourself that opportunity to quiet down and explore whatever shows up during this time. After all, we're in the big Earth school, guys. We have lessons to learn.
We signed up.
Yeah, we sure did. And if we all knew we were signing up for what we signed up for, probably we would reevaluate that again.
Joanne and I often say, I signed up for this, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's something for me to learn from it. But
yeah,
I don't think this is the way I thought it would happen. But that's the whole point.
Exactly. In fact, a client of mine said to me today that she would like to be somebody else right now. And I had said to her, I says, you know what? You may not really want to be somebody else, because at least you know by being yourself right now, you know what that journey looks like. Someone being somebody else right now, their journey might be a little bit more challenging than yours. So, if it was up to me, I'm quite fine where I am on my journey, even though sometimes I do sit back and say, what the hell was I thinking when I signed up for all of this? But it's okay. It's okay.
One day at a time. One moment at a time.
It defines my strength. All right, guys.
Bye, everyone.
We're going to have a song to end the day, eventually. A dance. Do-do-do-do-do-do.